The morning sun was bright, but inside the glass doors of the bank, it felt cold. Cold not because of the air conditioning, but because of the way people were treated. An old man in worn-out clothes, his shoes cracked at the edges, his shirt faded from years of washing, stood quietly in line. His hands trembled slightly, clutching a small brown envelope. To everyone else, he looked like another struggling pensioner trying to make ends meet, another forgotten face lost in the rush of daily life. But what no one knew was that behind those weary eyes was a man who had once built empires, a man who had climbed from nothing to the very top. And today, disguised as ordinary, he was about to teach the world a lesson it would never forget. Sparkles, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of never judging a person by their appearance, please take a moment to like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us continue spreading stories that touch hearts and inspire change. Sparkles. The line moved slowly. The old man shuffled forward until he finally reached the counter. Behind the polished desk sat a young bank manager, barely in his 30s, wearing a crisp navy blue suit. His smile wasn't real, it was sharp, sarcastic, the kind of smile that looked down on people rather than welcomed them. He tapped his pen against the desk impatiently as the man placed the envelope down. The envelope contained nothing fancy, just a few worn-out bills, a life's worth of humility, and a simple request, to check if his balance was enough to keep his small savings account open. The man spoke softly, almost apologetically, asking if the manager could check it for him. The manager chuckled, not kindly but cruelly. "I'll pay you double if you even have a balance," he scoffed, loud enough for others in line to hear. A few heads turned, some smirked, and the old man lowered his gaze in shame. He said nothing, though his heart sank at the humiliation. This was not the first time he had been treated this way. Ever since he had started dressing down and appearing like just another poor, struggling elder, he had noticed how differently people treated him. The warmth and respect he once commanded as a leader in boardrooms were replaced with dismissive glances and mocking tones. But what the manager didn't know, what no one around him suspected, was that the old man was none other than the CEO of this very bank, walking incognito, testing the character of his employees. He had built his career on values his parents had taught him: kindness, honesty, and humility. He knew what it meant to struggle, to sleep hungry, to be overlooked. Years ago, he had clawed his way out of poverty with sheer determination. But with success came a hidden fear, that the people working under him might lose touch with humanity, that they might forget the importance of treating others with dignity. So, every few months, he disguised himself and visited different branches of his own bank. What he saw today stung more deeply than he expected. The manager laughed again, pushing the envelope aside with the back of his hand as if it were dirty. "Next," he called out impatiently, already waving for the next customer. The old man stood still, quietly reclaiming the envelope, his fingers brushing over the paper like it was the last bit of pride he had left. Then, in a calm, measured voice, he said something that silenced the room. "What if I told you I'll pay you double, not from my pocket, but from your salary?" The manager frowned, confused, until the man pulled out a small black card, a card reserved only for the highest executives. Gasps filled the air as one of the senior tellers immediately recognized him. "Sir." "CEO?" she whispered in shock. The manager's face drained of color as realization dawned. The laughter died instantly, replaced by fear. But instead of exploding in anger, the old man sighed. His voice carried the weight of disappointment more than rage. He spoke to the entire bank lobby, not just the manager. He told them about his journey from rags to riches, about the humiliation he endured growing up, and about how one act of kindness once saved his life. He explained that he disguised himself not to trick anyone, but to remind people that every customer, rich or poor, deserves respect. The room was silent. Some employees lowered their heads in shame, others teared up, realizing how easily they had judged a man by his clothes. As for the manager, he stood frozen, his arrogance shattered. The old man looked at him, not with hate, but with a heavy heart, and said, "You laughed at a man you thought was powerless. But real power is in how you treat people when you think they have nothing to offer you." That day, the branch changed. Policies were rewritten, training was introduced, but more importantly, hearts were softened. Customers who once felt invisible now felt seen. The bank, under the CEO's guidance, began a new mission, not just to serve accounts, but to serve people. And as for the manager, he learned his lesson the hardest way. He wasn't fired immediately. Instead, he was assigned to work at the customer help desk, face to face with people in need, forced to listen, to care, and to rebuild himself from the inside out. Over time, the same man who once mocked the weak became one of the strongest advocates for compassion. Life has a way of humbling us, of teaching us that wealth and titles fade, but the way we treat others, that is what defines us forever. The story of the old man in the faded shirt became a legend whispered across every branch of the bank. It reminded everyone, employees and customers alike, that behind every envelope, behind every request, behind every face, there is a human story worth respect. Rose, if this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with loved ones, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us continue bringing you real, emotional stories that inspire hope and kindness in the world. Rose. Speech balloon special request: before you leave, drop a comment below sharing what kindness means to you. Your words might inspire someone else today.